Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. One giant leap for mankind.
The only thing that makes me any different from any of you is that I've seen the Earth from a far distance and seen the moon up close. I think the impressions I get first of the Earth is that it's a very small and a very fragile planet, and should be treated as such, very small object. And the moon, as I think back on it, I don't really think of it so much as a place, as a direction. I think the moon, to me, represents out there. And at this stage in the development of NASA, of the space program, I think out there really points to Mars, so that when I think of the moon today, I really don't think of it as a destination, but as a stepping stone to more interesting places like Mars and perhaps Titan, one of Saturn's moons. Is that it's a very small and a very fragile planet.
The Earth does appear fragile from space. Part of it is simply it's so small. It's about the size of your thumbnail if you hold your arm out at full length, and it, of course, is absolutely spherical. Atmosphere is not apparent. It shines, it bounces the sunlight very well. So you have this very small, very shiny spherical object, and somehow it just appears to me, at least, extremely fragile. That would be the one most fundamental quality that it projects, is one of fragility. I don't know why, but it does. The Earth does appear fragile from space. Part of it is simply it's so small. It's about the size of your thumbnail if you hold your arm out at full length, and somehow it just appears to me, at least, extremely fragile. That would be the one most fundamental quality that it projects, is one of fragility. I don't know why, but it does.
Fragility, I don't know why, but it does.
Our guest tonight, General Michael Collins, was the command module pilot on Apollo 11. He was actually up there. What was the one moment or the one word or the phrase or the action that you will never, ever forget?
Well, strangely enough, it was not the alien object, the moon, which we had approached and were seeing at very close range for the first time. Rather, it was looking back over our shoulder at planet Earth, which we knew all about for 30-some years, each of us, but at that time it was about the size of your thumbnail. You could get rid of it if you put your thumb in your pocket, but it kept popping back into view and demanding that you pay a bit of attention to it. And the feeling I got from it was the normal things that you might expect, the glittering sunshine on it, the white of the sky, the clouds, the blue of the oceans, tiny smear of rust that we call continents. But underlying all of that, I know not why, but I got a feeling of great fragility. I have the feeling I was looking at something very, very fragile.
You mean the Earth itself that was fragile?
The Earth itself, a tiny little fragile thing. And
you mean in the vastness of space.
Well, of course, and the black velvet of space surrounded it for millennial, whatever that funny distance is from here to there. But that's what I recall most vividly, was the tiny Earth, the fragile, fragile tiny Earth that we all enjoy without really thinking about it. Somewhere along the line, I think I said to Houston, Houston, I've got the world in my window. And I really didn't mean that alone, but I was seeing something for the first time. And I think when you think about that and I look at some of those things, all of us can have the world in our window. We can all look at the world in a slightly different way, a more benign, a more benevolent, a more cooperative way. But you have to kind of start the process with, that's my world in that window there. It's my world.
One of my favorite quotes in your book is, "These are not ejection seats, but thrones, facing out on the universe, and we are wealthier than kings." By going into orbit aboard, say, a Gemini spacecraft or around the moon or to the moon in the Apollo spacecraft, does it really change one's perspective of themselves and of the planet Earth?
I think certainly to go as far away as the moon and look back on the Earth certainly does affect your perspective. The Apollo command module had 5 windows in it, and when you're 250,000 miles away from Earth and you look out the window to find it, it's very common to be no Earth in any one of the 5. The Earth is down under you, over your shoulder, somewhere else. So that's a strange sensation, to have to maneuver around even to find your home. And then when you see it, tiny as your thumbnail held out in front of you at arm's length, that sort of gets your attention. A beautiful sight, tiny, pristine, blue and white, very fragile-looking object, shining like a beautiful little headlight out there in the black velvet of space. It does change your perspective. It makes you think that we have to take better care of this little fragile entity, because it is fragile. And it also leads one in the direction of thinking about problems globally, thinking about problems globally.
I'm hard. Jehovah said I'm barred from the pearly gates. Fuck 'em. I didn't want to go to heaven anyway.
Fragile planet.